Welcome back to part 2 about active participles. Last video we looked at the A ending and the verb forms. In this video we're going to look at the E ending and the O ending. Starting with the E ending, it shows when one verb happens in relationship to another verb. Ante means that the two verbs happen at the same time. Inte means that that verb happens before another verb. And onte means that verb happens after another verb. Li manĝas pomon kaj legas sian libron samtempe. Manĝante pomon, li legas sian libron. These sentences mean more or less the same. While eating an apple, he reads his book. The verb manĝi and legi are happening at the same time. Tre baldaŭ ili atingis grifon, kiu kuŝis kaj dormis en la sunlumo. You could change the N to use a participle and say kiu kuŝis dormante en la sunlumo. Very soon they reached a griffin who lay sleeping in the sunlight. The griffin is laying and sleeping at the same time. Even though kushis is past tense, the ante ending means that that verb is happening at the same time as the other verb. So they're both happening in the past. Ĉar mi lernis Esperanton, mi povas pli facile lerni aliajn lingvojn. Lerninte Esperanton, mi povas pli facile lerni aliajn lingvojn. Having learned Esperanto, I can learn other languages easier. Here we use the inte ending to show that lerni happened before povi. Ŝi sidiĝis ĉe la skribotablo por skribi leteron. Skribonte leteron, ŝi sidiĝis ĉe la skribotablo. This could translate a couple different ways. About to write a letter, she sat at the desk. She sat down at the desk intending to write a letter. The main thing is that she sat down first and then she wrote the letter. The E ending always modifies the subject of the sentence. Lerninte Esperanton, aliaj lingvoj estas pli facile por mi. The problem here is that aliaj lingvoj is the subject, and so that means other languages learned Esperanto and now are easier for me to learn. So this is really different from the example I showed on the last slide. Promenante sur la strato, subite venis ideo al mi en la kapon. Walking down the street, an idea suddenly came to my head. This means the idea is walking down the street, not me. So to fix this, you could say promenante sur la strato, mi subite ekhavis ideon, and we change the subject. Or you could not use a participle at all and say kiam mi promenis sur la strato, venis subite ideo al mi en la kapon. Moving on to the O ending, I'm sure you've seen lots of these participles, but you might not have recognized them as participles. Scribanto, a person who is writing. Scribinto, a person who wrote. Scribonto, a person who will write. The vowel changes whether the person is doing the action, already did it, or is about to do the action. Kiom da angla parolantoj ekzistas. This is the same as saying kiom da homoj kiuj parolas la anglan ekzistas. How many English speakers are there? So here the word parolanto refers to people who speak, and when you add angla to the beginning, you're talking about people who speak English. Kiu ludanto estas via plej ŝatata? Which player is your favorite? Somebody who is playing something is called a player. La pakaĵo atingos la mendinton in 2 tagojn. The package will reach the person who ordered it in 2 days. Post la milito ili bruligis la mortintojn. After the war, they burned the dead. So mortintoj are people who mortis, people who died. La malsataj manĝontoj sidis ĉe la tablo, attendante la manĝaĵon. The hungry people who were about to eat sat at the table awaiting the food. I'm sure by now you know what mangi means, so manĝonto is a person who will eat, and attendante at the end means that they're sitting and they're waiting at the same time. Jen la geedziĝontoj. Geedziĝi is basically a couple getting married, so geedziĝontoj are people who are about to get married. Behold, the bride and groom to be. I believe that's what you call them in English. That might not actually be the right term. But anyways, basically it just means two people who are about to get married, or going to get married. So that concludes part 2 about active participles. These are kind of confusing and they take a little while to get used to, but if you start reading, you'll see them a lot and it will become really easy for you to understand them. So my recommendation is find a book that you like and read it. Thank you guys for watching. Gis baldo!